Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. There are lots of reviews opening in theaters this weekend. We will talk about it. I am Chris Gore. This is Film Threat. This is our live cast. And on Friday, we review all of the movies playing in theaters, even the small ones you may have not heard of. We cover those too, not just the big mainstream releases. So you're going to hear about movies like The Substance, Never Let Go, A Different Man. But we'll also talk about Transformers 1, along with other films. Alan Ng is here waiting in the wings. I don't know where he is, but let's get going. Let's start the show. I know he is here somewhere.
Mr. Gore, we will definitely do this for you. Go ahead, Camilla.
Ellen. And don't forget to get out and vote.
Does not get my endorsement. And it's not, Alan's not getting out of bed for either candidate. We need someone else to help Alan join the show today. Who can I get?
Alan, I've been looking for you myself. Alan.
Well, there you go, Alan.
There we go. By the way, that political one, that's going to get us in trouble with the state of California. AI in a political message.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. Yeah. So, I mean, if Gavin wants to come after us, he can come after us. Yeah, boy, that's really crazy, huh? What a weird time to live.
Oh,
got our idiots that we vote into office to do what we vote for things, and they're supposed to serve the needs of the people, and they're clearly only serving their own needs. It's all selfish needs, and not even hiding it, and don't care, and no one seems to mind. Well, I do. So
at least they're spending our tax dollars well.
Yes, capital allocation is something that people in government excel at.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean they're horrible. So there you go. Before we get started, we do have some news. We have an interview that'll be today at the end of the show. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to be talking to the filmmakers behind Night of the Harvest, because it's Halloween season. We got to talk about it. So we'll be we like to mix that stuff in, and that'll be at 10:40 a.m. Pacific time. We have a very tight. Alan complains. Alan is a complainer, and complains that the show is overproduced.
Yep,
isn't that right, Alan?
Yes, we are the only show on the internet that has banners, has a schedule.
No, we just have a list of what we're gonna do. And then we go through the list. How is this so hard?
It's not because you add banners, you add posters.
But I want if someone just drops in and they see a banner that says The Substance Review, they know what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, I go to the nooner and you guys are just having a conversation. You're just chuckling it up. And then when you go to a news item, there's no banner that shows up. You just talk about the news item.
Look. We chuckle on Wednesdays on Hollywood on the Rocks. That's our chill show. News items. Yeah. We chill. We have fun. Friday is serious business. Movie reviews.
Yep.
So before we do that, I am very shortly about to receive a shipment from the Film Threat shop. That's right. Film Threat has new designs for fall. I'm super excited about this. We've got our Drinker's Choice collection. We've got other shirts, Get Retro, with inspired by certain movies like Krull, The Warriors, Rollerball, Star Trek, the motion picture, lots of these designs of the Film Threat logo and movie titles, iconic movie titles. We've got other ones for Halloween, Film Threat the 13th. And then we've got pint glasses and all kinds of stuff. All your needs for stuff you don't need but really want. So go to shop.filmthreat.com. But I just got a message. My shipment is en route. probably get it later today. I'm excited about that. Did you order any of the new shirts, Alan?
Not yet.
And of course, we're just talking about banners. When I was saying that, you could have put up a banner like this.
Yeah, remember I said this show is overproduced?
But it's so low effort. Look, I worked in television. I produced a show for FX called The New Movie Show. I also was a producer.
So when you were in the seat, were you putting up banners or were you?
No, I was on the show.
Were you writing clips?
All I'm saying is I know a little about TV production, and I think this is nothing, and I also think it's fun. I love doing this show with you, to be honest. I know people get like taken aback by we kind of bicker at each other. But we also
and how it feels real sometimes.
hey, it does. We bicker, but we also text each other like 14-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Like I got a text from you last night. All you said was, "Oh my God," and I knew what happened. You saw the substance.
Yeah, I saw the substance.
Oh my. Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
we will talk about it later. There'll be a banner and a poster. So there you go. But hey, let's see who's here today before we launch in. We have a big news story at the top. We'll get to this. Here we go. Comments
from Jazzy Jizzy Johnson. All this trash TV has given my wife and I the push to rewatch the 2000 Battlestar Galactica. I still think it's the best sci-fi show by far.
It's amazing. It's top tier for sure.
From Jean-Hu, greetings, everyone. Goober says, hey, movie peoples. Slate board. Solomon Thornton, greetings, movie lovers. Lord Thoth.
Wait. Oh, here we go. This one.
We'll see that. Sons and Shadows get to 5 Film Threat memberships. Thank you, Sons and Shadows. Thank you for your support over the month.
Thanks for that.
All right, Aaron Sharman. I've just got back from Watch the Substance. It's the most messed up movie I've seen since The Coffee Table. Yeah,
on my top 10 for the year: Coffee Table, Substance, excuse me, and Strange Darling. Sorry about that.
No problem. Knee pain. Remember, for 2 months, I looked to this channel of how I could produce mine.
Yeah. Well, if you here's my advice: if you get a co-host, get one that doesn't complain so much. Get a co-host that's just amenable to the way the show works. A little banner, because also Atomic Glory, she's in the background. She does the indexing of the show to make it easy for you to look up stuff. She's working hard behind the scenes. She's our BTS badass.
Yeah. My advice is get a co-host who my advice is get a co-host who likes to keep the show simple, not overcomplicate the show. Yeah, to maintain a flow for the show.
That's our Wednesday show. Wednesday is chill. That's why it's
you seem to be all about the banners on Wednesday.
Friday, we have purpose. Thank you, Knee Pain. Appreciate you. And since you're a member, I filmed a Q&A. It's about 40 minutes with the director of The Substance. You must see. I was in the third row. I filmed as best I could with my iPhone. Maybe you're not supposed to, but I did it. There's a lot of interviews on the channel for that. So please look those up. You need to see it. So
it reminds me of I went to the premiere of Wolves on Wednesday.
Did you film anything?
No, because no one came in. They just started the movie and then they ended
you were in the overflow room.
Yeah, the giant IMAX overflow room.
Oh, did you go to a party after?
No, it was they just they started the movie and then they ended the movie. But there was a lot of stuff going on outside of the movie.
You were not
on
Hollywood
Boulevard.
F that.
I know.
Well, you're gonna review it today, right?
I could. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the embargo. I guess I could.
No, you
I don't know the embargo for it, so that's why I didn't.
let's review it. Okay. And finally,
Lord Thoth admonishes us, tells us to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, sign up as a member, join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram, buy our merch, shop.filmthreat.com. By the way, I was quickly on Discord last night. I think Woman of the Hour, I'm halfway through it. Looks pretty good so far.
I will go on Discord eventually. I have several promises to make. I will go on Discord and we will never talk about the Acolyte. We're done talking Acolyte. Look, if I were a politician, these are promises I'm going to make. So there you go. I need a little extra coffee today, but some big news broke here.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
You look good with long hair. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I wish I had mine back.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, let's get into it. There was some big news here in Disney animation. If you'd bring up the story, Alan.
Yes.
Essentially, the woman Jennifer Lee, which was featured, she was the head of Disney Animation, featured prominently in the D-Files. There she is, pictured here from The Hollywood Reporter. Disney Animation shakeup, Jennifer Lee exiting as chief creative officer. Jared Bush takes over. We'll get to the article in a second, but to give a little preamble, she was the head of Disney Animation, basically responsible for the sea change in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And he was effectively the Kathleen Kennedy of Disney Animation and oversaw all of their projects, leading to Wish, which was probably in Disney Animation history their biggest failure. Can you elaborate, since you, Alan, are the one who wrote all this, the big story?
Yeah. I mean, Jennifer Lee plays a big role in the D-Files. She appears in almost every part. She was a replacement of John Lasseter. Sorry, I'm trying to. Okay, she was a replacement of John Lasseter. As you remember, when John Lasseter was fired, they had an all-hands meeting, notifying people that John wouldn't come back. And someone said, "Can we get a woman in charge now?" And that woman is Jennifer Lee. And what she did was she is most notably known for writing Frozen and Frozen 2. She's known for basically destroying the Walt Disney animation division of the company. Her first goal was to bring equity, so 50-50 women, men animators. And then it was about bringing in an agenda. And then finally, it was about destroying the Walt Disney legacy with the movie Wish for its 100th anniversary. And what she ostensibly had done, this is the saddest thing about her leaving. The devastation she left as a result. And essentially that devastation, every old white guy who had been with the company for a long time, who understood the traditions of Disney animation, of Disney storytelling, she got rid of them. And she got rid of them either in one of two ways. She either made their job so horrible that they had to quit because of the working conditions they were in. Or second, they found something that they could latch onto, throw them into HR, and then fire them, basically. And so now Disney Burbank is a shell of its former self. The Walt Disney
basically
Studios.
I know, because I'll tell you this, I ran into some people who worked at Disney Animation on Hollywood Boulevard at a bar called Jameson's, which is a very fun Irish bar. If you ever go, they've got a really good happy hour, great place. You can get a steak dinner on Wednesday, very inexpensive, very affordable. Anyways, saw some guys there that were singing your praises, Alan,
Wow.
and confirmed a lot of things. Basically, they got rid of all the old vets.
Yeah. The old
And
white
they
guys.
were just like,
that
all
was our
the
term.
all, what's that?
Old white guys. That was the term we used in the deep.
Old white guys. They got rid of all the veteran animators who've been there for years, who know everything from story to technique, and they excised them and basically lost that knowledge, the knowledge of those veteran animators that built the company. Not even some like transition or keep them there to mentor. There was an attitude towards the old white guy establishment that we don't need you. We're going to go our own way. And it's almost like the people they brought in did not want to be mentored. They had disdain for the veterans. It was, we want to blaze our own trail. We don't need you, which is really arrogant. You know what? I'm old school. You know what? I was raised to respect your elders. Weird thing. Respect your elders.
Well, the other thing is wisdom.
Right.
When you've lived as long as you have and worked in an industry as long as you have wisdom. You understand why things work, what works and what doesn't work, why we do things a certain way and why we don't do things a certain way. And this is what, okay, the best way I could explain this is watch the making of Wish. The little documentary that comes on the DVD, if you're going to buy it, or it's actually on Disney Plus under the Wish. But what they did was they decided that they were going to honor Walt Disney, and they were going to go into the archives and study and deconstruct Walt in order to make Wish. But the reality is you had people there who was working there who understood this and practiced it in their daily lives, but you got rid of them. And so now, rather than wasting all this time doing research, you just could have gone to people who knew it. They didn't do that. And that's why Wish, when you watch Wish and look at the animation, the art style, you'll soon see that it is the worst animated Walt Disney film ever in its 100-year history.
I did see Wish and can confirm it is a mess. It is just a mess of compromised, like storytelling, of diversity for diversity's sake, not actually making great characters, and they don't act like real people.
Yeah.
So
the Jennifer Lee, she stepped down. That's what the report is.
That's what they always say. Wait, that's what they always say when they get fired.
Right.
I stepped down. Or
the thing is still working on Frozen 3 and 4. So she'll be the director and writer of Frozen 3 and 4. So there's something there. But look, this is the classic example of DEI gone wrong. DEI hires gone wrong. When the cry during that meeting was, can we get a woman to replace to run this place? That's what they did. They got a woman to do it. And look, she wrote Frozen 1 and 2. I don't think there's anything really wrong with those movies. I think they're fine movies. They're certainly popular, made a lot of money. But being a writer doesn't make you qualified to run an entire studio. And rather than focus on the traditions of Walt Disney, the tradition of Walt Disney animation and storytelling, the first thing she did was equity, half and half women. And then it was about the message. And she just didn't know what she was doing. And she thought, my guess is she thought going in that she could change the place, and that she did.
Well, I don't know. You've read this article, so that's the gist of it. But do you believe that the failure of Wish led to this? I mean, that was the end of last year.
Yeah, I don't know. The Wish might have been the what is it, the match that lit the fire, because they started making moves that were very interesting. The first was Moana 2, which is not being done in Burbank. It's being done in Vancouver. And the feeling I got from talking to people, and you've talked to people, is that Burbank is in a mess. It's again a shell of its former self. The environment there is so hostile that the only thing they could have done was just move it out of Burke and move it overseas or move it to another country, which is Canada now. And from my understanding is that the guy in charge of the Canadian studios, not exactly based, but at least knows animation and understands Disney animation. And so I think you're going to see a marked improvement of animation with Moana 2 than you would had Burbank worked on it.
Last thing before we get to our reviews, we have so many to do today, but Alan, I want to ask, like, how significant is this? She was effectively the Kathleen Kennedy of Disney animation. What does this mean? And do you know anything about Jared Bush at all, other than he's probably just a manager?
Yeah, I mean, Jared Bush is a writer. I want to say he wrote Zootopia and a couple others. First, it's surprising that they replaced her with a white guy, which is maybe an indication that maybe Disney is starting to get fed up with DEI. You know, you talked about Kevin Feige getting rid of activism. Maybe this is that first step. Maybe allowing Jennifer Lee to work on Frozen 3 and 4 is a way for her to save face. Is this good news? I think it is. But I'm not getting the sense that lessons were completely learned. Maybe some lessons were learned, but we'll see. There's really not hasn't been much announced beyond Moana 2 that says that they're going in the right direction. But I guess we'll see. You know, is Disney animation going the way of Marvel? You know, where they fired all the activists and writing the course? We'll see.
Well, lastly, before we get to comments, I'll just say this. We learned recently that Pixar resisted putting in LGBTQ messaging in Inside Out 2. Yeah. They had things in there that implied the lead character was gay or had gay feelings for her female friends, where, you know, they were just friends in the movie, but they wanted to have some message there. There was romantic interest. They, you know, got rid of that, and the film was a huge success.
Yeah,
huge success.
Well, yeah, you know who the gatekeeper was for Inside Out 2 to get rid of all that stuff?
Ooh.
It was Pete Docter, the chief creative officer of Pixar. Basically, it was Pixar's counterpart to Jennifer Lee over at Disney Animation, which again says a lot.
I'll end with this, and it's very simple. If 5% of your audience really loves jelly donuts, you make enough jelly donuts to serve that 5%. You don't force jelly donuts on 100% of your audience when they don't eat jelly donuts or don't like jelly donuts, right?
Yep.
So what you've got to do is scale your content to the audience to serve the audience. And what they're trying to do is force jelly donuts on all of us.
Yep.
Okay, weird analogy.
But
that's
but
a
there's
very
a reason,
weird analogy.
But there's a reason why there's an entire rack of glazed donuts.
Yes, everyone loves glazed.
Yep.
So there you go. If you make the glazed donuts are for everyone. The jelly donuts are for a specific market. Scale to the market. Don't force jelly on everyone.
Yeah. For the 3 people who walk into your store every morning to get a jelly donut.
Exactly. Let's go to your comments here, starting with a very generous 50 from DJ.
I'm sitting here listening to Frank Gore basically admitting to being part of the problem in Hollywood for 30 years and Chris Cuomoing it now. I despise him. Suspicious we can't find Chris Gore anymore. Yeah, where is Chris Gore?
I don't know if I understand your comment exactly, but
well,
I've covered indie film since 1985. I've covered big things.
No, I
don't know.
I think he's just not a fan of Frank Gore, and he likes Chris Gore.
Yeah, Frank Gore. F that guy. Thank you, DJ. That's super generous. And Hit me all you want with super chats and insults. I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay, Francisco Sanchez Jr. for 20. Chris, have you seen the movie Titan? Oh my God. It's from the director of a French movie, Raw. Been your top 3 body horror movies. I'll just say The Thing is my favorite. Yes, I consider it body horror.
I have not seen Titan.
I've seen
People have recommended it to me. Yeah. Body horror would be Cronenberg, The Fly. Love The Thing, and probably Videodrome. I mean, and we'll get into the substance, but yeah. Cronenberg really almost created that genre.
Yeah. Titan is also kind of another sexy body horror film.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Although one of the two is much sexier than the other. Teletran 69 for 1999. Gore, I'm Transformers review. Give it to me and give it to me raw.
We will talk about it in the next 30 minutes, but we got a lot to go to. So, but thank you. Stick around. Don't leave. Thank you for that.
A Drake Timbershaft for 5. From Steamboat Willie to Wish, it was like watching evolution in reverse. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least in the last 3 years or last 5 years, I would say that definitely. And Chris dropped out, so we'll keep going. Suns and Shadows gifted 5 Film Threat memberships. Thank you for that. Yeah, Davina Duckworth. Disney animation sounds like a nightmare to. Disney animation used to be the dream for a lot of people, and the dream became a nightmare. Definitely in the since Lasseter left. It was the environment. You read the D-files, but the environment was incredibly hostile. I mean,
I hear that.
Comment.
I hear hostile work environment from all levels of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
They are abusive when it comes to management.
Yeah, in terms of, work. Let's talk about the hours people have to put in, the low pay, the not guaranteed a job after it was over. A lot of white guys who used to work at Walt Disney Animation can't get a job there anymore. And then again, you got to watch what you say, even if you say something under your breath, because if someone picks it up, you're going to HR.
Let's get through these comments and we'll get
Treviticus.
to reviews.
Yeah. Treviticus. Jennifer Lee is the real deal in Slay Queens. Slayed the Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah.
Darth Yeager, she stepped down to spend more time with her family. Of Cats. JWT 6599, member for 12 months. Thank you for your support. A Whammon being replaced by a white man. Unacceptable. Shut Disney down. No, seriously. Shut Disney down. Patrick Lemire. Ironically, Wish looked like if you ordered an animation movie off of Wish. Did I read that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
There you go. All right, let's get to it. We'll pivot here to our first reviews, starting with Wolves. Well, let's do that. We'll get to Transformers 1. I put them in order here. So while you're setting that up, Alan.
Oh, do we have I don't know if we have it. Lori, do you have a poster for Wolf? Do you want to?
Yeah, Wolves and Transformers 1 was not in the banners. Let's start with the Critic.
Okay.
While she's doing that.
Okay, let me
wait here.
Let me get my screen back here.
Alan, you're very patriotic. I love breasts. Women look at other women's breasts. Gay men love breasts. One thing that could unite the world is breasts and cleavage. I really believe that. I truly believe in breasts. Alan,
that was supposed to be for the substance because there's only ass in the Critic.
Alan, let's talk about a movie called The Critic. It's playing in limited release.
Yes.
I don't know anything about this movie. But
okay.
It stars Ian McKellen. So I'm curious. What is The Critic about?
Okay. Well, can you guess what Ian McKellen is in this movie?
I assume he's the critic.
He's a critic, yes. It takes place, I believe, in the 1930s, 1940s. Ian McKellen plays a critic. He's a drama critic. And in the beginning of the movie, he describes the role of a critic as a judge. judge in a way that his words has meaning, his word has influence, and his word has power. And he attends a play starring let me get the name here, starring Nina, played by Edgerton. She's not a very good actress, and for the last several plays she's been in, he's just kind of lambasted her. He calls her basically just he can't stand the tone of her voice, the sound of her voice, and he's just ruthless on her. So that's the basic story of Ian McKellen's character. But what's going on is the paper that he's working for, the owner dies. He's been working there for decades, and his son comes in, played by Mark Strong, and decides that changes need to be made. Everybody that we need to reduce the budget, and that means people are going to go. And so Ian McKellen's character hangs out with his other older critics and older reporters, and realize that they're on the chopping block. And everyone of that group is fired except Ian McKellen. Jimmy is the character's name. And then the new owner says, you're on probation right now. You need to be nicer in your reviews, because he's very horrible in his reviews, and he needs to stay out of trouble. Well, immediately we find out that Jimmy is gay, and he's making out with his boyfriend, and he gets caught. And owner comes in, bails him out, and says, "Well, here's your notice." And so what begins is a plot by Jimmy to get which involves Nina to seduce the owner, now to blackmail him. And what winds up happening is more blackmail comes in. Suicides are at play, unaliving is. And this is basically, I would call this a very polite version of Dynasty. Because at the second half of the movie, everyone is being really mean to each other. Everybody's being conniving to one another. Everyone is plotting against one another, but they're doing it in a very polite British way. Yeah.
Is the tone a comedy, or is it like a thriller?
It's a drama. And I'll tell you why. The reason it's not a comedy and the reason it's not a thriller is the stakes are very low. We're talking about people's jobs here. We're not talking about millions of dollars. We're not talking about drugs. We're not talking about that. We're talking about an old man who's trying to keep his job, and the lengths that he'll go to doing that, the people he involves, and then this kind of web of blackmail and intrigue. And I use the word intrigue very, I'm overstating the word intrigue here because it's very polite. And look, great actors. Everyone in this movie is a great actor. Leslie Manville, Mark Strong, great actors. But this movie is just the stakes is what keeps this movie from being anything great, because the stakes are very low. Even though there's unaliving because of Jimmy's actions, very low. Look, if you want to watch good acting, watch the movie. But this is one that's just gonna be forgettable. We'll never talk about this movie again.
So what do you rank it out of 10?
I give it a 5. I mean, look, you get that it's, you got a great cast together, but the movie is just unworthy of their talent.
Yeah, I noticed it wasn't playing. It was like playing in one theater, and the times were limited. I mean, I'm surprised a movie like this got released. It looks more like a streaming film. So
yeah,
anything with Ian McKellen has me interested immediately.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, it falls into a few tropes, and it doesn't. It's like Ian McKellen is a gay writer. They don't play it up as much as you think they would. And then he's essentially the antagonist and the protagonist. He's the bad guy in this movie. Yeah. And again, the only reason I knew this movie existed was one day I was looking for a movie to watch, and this was on the AMC list there, so I saw it.
All right, let's go to. So you recommend it?
No.
Non-recommend from Alan.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. A critic gave the critic a not recommend. Thumbs down.
I would say I'm not the only one. I wouldn't be the only critic to do that.
Yeah. let's go to comments here.
All right, Sir Agent Bill Maxwell. Hope you like jelly donuts because you're not about to be served more jelly donuts.
It's just a very simple way to explain the problem with Hollywood now, which is Hollywood is making things that people don't want.
Yeah.
And they're putting things in movies people don't want. I mean, this is an ongoing conversation thread we have talked about for years now, that the reason Hollywood is failing, and you're seeing so many movies in theaters that I'm seeing Back to the Future. There's Batman this weekend. I'm going to see Batman 89. And I mean, like, those movies are doing well because what's in theaters people they're not crazy about.
Yeah, so, it's basic economics. What Hollywood has done is it let's use the donut. A couple kids come in, buy a jelly donut, love the jelly donut. Tell the owner that these are the best jelly donuts ever. The owner then makes more and more jelly donuts, and these kids never come back.
Yeah, it's a simple way to say, hey, serve the market, serve the needs of the market, not your agenda.
Yep. All right. Chet's Mom 4. What the F? It's not funny and it's not a thriller. It's just privileged people nitpicking.
Yep. That's what it is. Hey, Chet's Mom.
Scott Christy Jones. It's just a drama thing. It's a 6 out of 10, but a mate of mine is in it. So go and see it.
All right. Scott Christy Jones there gives it a recommend. His mate is in it.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, look, if you're in a movie, I'm going to automatically like it and tell people to see it. So cool. I get it.
Let's pivot and let's go. First of all, I am going to say something real quick here is that nearly all of these banners I had to redo because some of them said like Transformers 1 movie. Wolf's wasn't in it. Like, I just corrected all the banners. So when we do show prep, yeah, you got to keep up. You got to keep up.
Yeah, got to keep up. Keep it up. Rock it hard. Make it work. And make it so.
I like your advice, Alan. I like it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just hold on. Oh,
could you turn your notifications on so we can all hear it?
No, I'm trying to download a poster, but it looks like it might be the wrong poster because it's for the mistake.
Go to IMDb.
No, never mind. I got it.
Oh my god! Like,
I got it.
Say my name.
You're Chris Gore.
You're goddamn right.
See that?
There we go. Yep. What? Huh?
Let's get to the next movie. This is.
I got it. Everything's. Yeah. Again.
This is so easy. It's easy. It should be easy. I'm only playing the videos to stall.
I have no idea where you're going next.
I put the banners in order. So you see, it's okay. This is not difficult.
There you go.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Anytime. I'm here to serve.
I love working with you.
You make me happy.
Let's talk about A Mistake. It's a thriller out starring Elizabeth Banks. She plays a woman who is a surgeon. One woman comes in with chest, like stomach pain, abdominal pain. Something is going on. And she has emergency surgery. And her character, Beth Taylor, she knows what she's doing. She goes in, she performs the surgery, and she allows an underling to take care of one task. Simple, kind of mentoring. This underling says, hey, why don't you complete this part of it? And in doing so, creates another huge issue that Beth must come in and save this patient. See, she does. The patient leaves the table, but this simple mistake may have put the patient's life in jeopardy. The next day, the patient dies, and the family is furious and wants answers. And it devolves into a cover-up. Beth's career may be at stake. Was she misdiagnosed? And it's Beth looking at her career and everything. She may lose everything simply by making a tiny mistake in surgery. I've always liked Elizabeth Banks. I think she's a really good actress. She's also a director in her own right, having made, well, she made Cocaine Bear, but don't hold that against her. I think she's one of the rare actresses that actually understands film and storytelling. So I will see anything she's in. She also is great at towing the line between drama and comedy. She's very good at comedy. Her character in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, very funny. She knows how to take a bath, for sure. But in this movie, as a surgeon that is now at the center of an investigation, this is literally just an average drama. Just like you were saying earlier with The Critic, this is almost an average drama that could have been on streaming. I mean, it's fine. The thing that elevates it is, frankly, Elizabeth Banks. But when everything is revealed in terms of what really happened during surgery, things take a turn. I mean, I enjoyed it because of Elizabeth. Like I said, I'll see anything she's in. I think this script was very surface level, and it feels very much like very much just like this is weird. We don't say this term anymore, but you'll know what I mean. It feels like a TV movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like a TV movie. It's like woman in peril, problem, doesn't get solved. We don't know. And it is frankly very predictable. So I don't recommend it. I think for me, it's a mixed, give it a 5 out of 10. But again, if it's worth seeing for anything, it's Elizabeth Banks. She's just really solid. I thought the script was kind of forgettable. There is an interesting side thing where she has to take care of her friend's dog and she's not a dog person and does not do a very good job at taking care of the dog. So, but if that's the thing I'm praising in the movie, not that great. So fairly forgettable, but again, I like her. I think, I don't know, maybe Elizabeth had a free couple weeks, said I'll be in this movie. But I feel like it could have gone deeper in terms of how the medical industrial complex is bigger and has so many other problems. They kind of touch on that, but they could have done a better job because she goes to a seminar with an organization. They have new rules they all have to follow. They could have gone deeper in that, but ultimately disappointed. So it gets a non-recommend from me, 5 out of 10. There you go. Let's go to comments.
It's just the resolution of this mistake. That's all this movie is.
Yeah. It's really she makes a mistake in surgery, which happens in the first act.
Right.
The woman dies. This is in the trailer. And then it's how they resolve it.
Yeah. I mean, if it shows up on Freevee, would you recommend it that way?
Well, because she's in it, probably, but you'll be disappointed.
Okay.
It's in terms of Elizabeth Banks movies at the bottom. So non-recommend, but it's out there. There you go.
All right. From Red French Moon, for a thriller, to be good, you must have a shower scene where the protagonist contemplates his mistake. So is there a Banks shower or bath scene?
There is not.
Oh, there you go. Jean-Hu, a Lifetime original production.
It felt like that. It felt like a Lifetime movie. Thank you for that.
Geek Truth 64, member for 17 months. Thank you for your support. I still use the term TV movie and $5 bin.
Yeah, this is what this is.
Daniel for 5. I feel like movies in general are just learning how to walk again after 8 years of Hollywood in a drunken woke self-destruction. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
Mhm.
Like, I was walking through Burbank AMC overhearing conversations, and it's like the people that go see movies there are so out of touch. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Like when you see tweets of Agatha being the greatest Marvel show ever, or the greatest this, the Acolyte being having the greatest fight scene, saber duel, makes you realize, yeah, no one's seen anything before 20. Uncle Remus, paying to watch this movie is a mistake.
I should have said that. Dang. All right, let's pivot here to our next film. Let's go to you want to do Wolves? And then we'll get to Transformers 1.
Okay, I will
Because
futz my
Wolves
way
will be
through
probably
Wolves because
short.
I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but we can talk about it.
Okay, Alan. Okay, I saw the trailer for this movie,
Mhm.
and I love Brad Pitt. I think Clooney in a role like this. They've of course been on screen before in the Oceans series of films. They've got great chemistry. I think the trailer for this movie has two assassins that kind of, or they're not assassins. They are
They're
cleanup
cleaners.
men.
Yeah, fixers. I think.
Yes. What? So the trailer, I'm all in because of the cast and the story. How is Wolves?
Wolves. Okay, just the real quick. Yeah, they both play fixers. A district attorney played by Amy Ryan finds herself in a one night stand with a young man. The young man is found dead in her hotel room, and Amy Ryan's character panics, calls the fixer to help clean it up. That fixer is George Clooney, but then Brad Pitt shows up, finds out that Brad Pitt is the fixer for the hotel. Because they don't want this kind of attention on them. And it's resolved that the two will problem because they found drugs, like a lot of drugs with the kid. And not only clean up this mess, but they've got to return the drugs. And it's pretty much, this is one of those movies where the sole reason you're watching it is to see George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
They have this banter where the movie is them constantly in competition with one another. They are forced to work together, and there's all the foibles that way. I'll say this: a lot of this movie, a lot of the humor in this movie is the fact that they're old. That George Clooney and Brad Pitt are old. So there's a point where they're looking at a pager, and they show it to each other, and then both realize they need to put on their reading glasses to see what it says.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned this one fact of that they're old is because that's the energy they bring to this movie. It's very low energy. The stakes may be high, but they come at it from a very low energy standpoint. I think what you're gonna like is the action, good car chase, lots of guns, a lot of fighting, a lot of fixing, but the tone of it is just so low. I think, and I think in saying that, that's why I'm saying the only reason you're gonna like this movie is because of George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Because if it were any other two actors, you probably wouldn't care about this movie at all. So yeah, not a recommendation.
Wow, the trailer looks so good. I mean, it was funny
because they put in the high energy stuff in the trailer.
That's those are the best moments in the trailer.
Exactly.
God, I was looking forward to this one.
Because I mean, the other thing is because they're fixers, they're kind of, they have to keep their emotions in check. They can't reveal a lot of what they're thinking or feeling. And again, that just lowers the energy and the tone of this movie.
Oh man, the trailer looks so funny. I was all in. So it's on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, so it's going to be in theaters for a week. In fact, I would venture to guess that the next movie mystery. This movie.
Really? It'll be the mystery movie.
It will be, because those mystery movies are all the ones I've seen have been 90% Apple movies.
Disappointing. Yeah. Disappointing. So you do not recommend this movie?
I do not recommend it.
Oh.
No, go see Ocean's 11. That's a great Brad Pitt movie.
Wow. Andrew Cram gifted 20 Film Threat memberships. Hey, join us on Discord, and also make sure that you check out the members only videos we post. And in addition, keep an eye out. We post a lot of VOD like codes. We give away codes a lot. I like to give things away for free. So thank you, Andrew. That's very generous.
All right. Gordon Caledonia. Grumpy old hitman. Carlos Alfredo Lopez. So no werewolves involved. Nope. Suns and Shadows. Man, werewolves would have been more interesting. Yeah, it would have been.
Yep.
Again, it's you say this all the time. Tone is everything in movies. And if you can't capture the right tone, you're not gonna have a good movie.
Let's pivot to the next review, Transformers 1, if you would get the poster up, Alan. See, let's try to get better at this. Let's get all the captions, all the banners accurate, and let's get these things prepped so we're ready to do a show. It's actually not that hard.
See, we are so overproduced. We're doing notes live on air.
I don't know when's a good time to say it. Glenn, cut all this out, please. Let's get to the review. Hey, Alan, let's talk about Transformers 1, which I'll say this. The last Transformers movie I watched that I liked was Bumblebee. And I did like the 2007 Transformers with Shia LaBeouf, the first movie. I thought was a good boy and his dog, boy and his car story. That one I liked. And everything Transformers since has been muddled crap, if you ask me. We've gotten very mixed to negative reviews. I mean, they've gotten bad. And when the trailer for Transformers 1 came out, I groaned. They're going full animation. Is this for little kids? Like, what is this? Shock and surprise how good Transformers 1 is. I will even say, we'll get to the story in a minute. I got emotional during parts of it because, I mean, this is a movie also that I think kids will enjoy, but it's also adults that are fans of Transformers will get into it. I know this movie breaks lore for hardcore fans, right? But there are no humans in it. You start out, you meet these two miners,
like working in a cave miner.
Working in a cave miner. Yeah, not miners like kids, but you meet like characters that will become Optimus Prime and Megatron, who are Orion Pax and D16. They're like best friends. They goof around. They get in trouble together. They have dreams and aspirations, but they're lowly, workers in a mine that can't even transform. This is the Batman Begins of Optimus Prime. You see the origin of Optimus Prime. You see the origin of Megatron, voiced by Brian Tyree Henry. Chris Hemsworth does Optimus Prime. You see other characters too, like Starscream, Bumblebee, played by Keegan-Michael Key, and I loved it. I was like, what is this? And then I'm shocked. I'm really enjoying it. And you see them on this journey. They go through the hero's journey to become the heroes that they will be in the future. This is literally an origin story set on, the Transformers home world. And the world building is amazing. The animation is very different. I thought the music was fantastic. And Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, towards the end, he starts to get that voice that is familiar. I'm told this is part of a new trilogy of a story set on the homeworld. And I don't know. You can talk about the story a bit, but it's there's so many good surprises. Scarlett Johansson plays Alita 1. He's very good. Lawrence Fishburne is Alpha Trion, the older kind of mentor. Uh, I've seen it twice. I was surprised. I'm like, come on. This can't be that. And look, I'm not telling you it's the greatest thing ever, but it's the best Transformers I've seen since the first movie, in my opinion. Alan, what did you think?
Yeah, I actually liked it. I don't
Yes!
know if I liked it as much as you did. By the way, do you know who? Did you recognize Soundwave?
No, who was it?
It was award this announcer John Bailey.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
we love John Bailey. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right, I'll say this. I'm not a big Transformers fan. I'm too old to have really watched the TV series, so I've never really gone into it. The first half of the movie was, okay, it's not too bad, but it's not something that's really not really connecting with it in the beginning. And then we get to the middle, and it was like, oh, there's in this movie that I'm kind of digging, and I really like this message, and now the movie is just kind of playing off of this message. And I'll dare I say this message is somewhat timely. It's the idea that the world as we know it, who's the main okay, so at the world as we know it, the planet, I don't know the terms, is running out of energy. That's why they're mining for energy. Everyone lives to basically mine for this energy, and Orion Pax. I'm sorry, I just gotta get these names down. Orion Pax, he's all about freedom. He's about choosing your own path, and then D16. There's this turn of betrayal. He has been lied to all his life.
Yeah.
And when he realizes he's been lied, he wants to exact vengeance. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is kind of a modern day parable, and it's weird that it's coming out today, just a few months before this election, because I was getting a lot of these vibes of how fascism begins, how we lull ourselves into just accepting the norm, and how dissent, the idea of dissent and wanting to better yourself or dream a little bit in life is forbidden. And I'm like, wow, this is like an oddly good message for kids, and they're like subverting some really positive ideas into this. And that's when for me this entire movie kind of kicked in. This is one of those movies where you take your kids to see it, and then I would say talk about what happens in this movie and at the end, and why people do what they do. And the best thing is, we've seen movies like this where, in the future, these two people are bitter enemies. And then we see the movie that take place long ago where they were once friends. This obviously is that movie. But the way in which force to set Optimus Prime and Megatron against each other, I thought was great. I really bought into the reason why these two are bitter enemies, and it played out so well in the story. Kudos to the writer, and I can't for a kids movie, I can't recommend this higher.
Yeah, it gets into, look, and to be clear, it's not like the message is super pushed. It's not, there's nothing about it that's woke at all.
But,
like
yeah.
it's not like they're pushing anything, like a big message. There are things there. There are things that are there if you look for it. But the guy who did it, the director, worked on Toy Story 4, Inside Out. Like, he's got a good, Josh Cooley is the director. And wow, so he did. And then there is so it is all also about like going your own way. It's about freedom. It's about maybe not towing the line of what the government says. It's about a healthy mistrust of leaders. there's even a joke at the end of the movie I won't ruin. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
About it, that gets the biggest laugh in the whole film. It
Yeah.
really is like, and it's not like, it's like I say, it's not forced. It's there if you're looking for it, but it's also something everyone can get behind. I was super impressed by it. It's got it's 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, critic score. I mean, this is one of those films. It satisfies adults and kids. I think will be into it. Don't be fooled. The trailers for this movie were terrible. I thought they really misrepresented the film. But the result is, I mean, 8 out of 10 for me. Recommended. And like I say, best Transformers movie since 2007. Although I like Bumblebee as well. So
yeah, I'll just clarify. Yeah, the politics. It's about freedom. And it's about the things that it's about the slow degrading of our freedom, the slow erosion of our freedom, and how we can get lulled in by voices, by messages. I really like this movie. Just, I mean, again, once that message kicks in, it's like, okay, I'm in.
What would you rate it, Alan?
8, yeah, like you had 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. And look, I have not liked a Transformers live action movie since like I say, since Bumblebee. Even before that, I like the first Transformers. I like Bumblebee, and that's about it. The rest have been insufferable, in my opinion. This I really love. I do know hardcore fans will be irked at the lore being changed. I feel like this. Here's my final thought on that. I don't mind changes with story lore if the characters are true to like who we know they are, and the evolution of the evolution of seeing Optimus Prime come into his own from he's named Orion Pax. He becomes Optimus Prime in the movie, and D16 becomes Megatron. You see that evolution. It's the character development. There's more character development of Transformers in this movie than all the other Transformers movies combined, because it's about Transformers. The other movies are the human characters are at the forefront. This is really the first movie, like since in a while, that the Transformers themselves are featured. So
yeah, it's just Transformers. It's only Transformers.
Right. Yeah, and look, I am a casual fan. I don't know all the lore and this, and I know some people are kind of upset that the original voice cast wasn't used, but they're trying to start something new. So this is a new trilogy, and I highly recommend. 8 out of 10. Surprised by how much I love it. Let's go to your comments here, starting with Supers.
Yeah, Scott Christie Jones for £2 George Clooney isn't a Hollywood actor.
There you go. Thank you for that.
Andrew Cram for 10. What's the purpose of Scarlett Johansson's character in a Transformers movie?
She's part of the team.
Yep.
And
could be a love interest, maybe.
You never know. I thought they all worked. They don't all like each other. And the relationships change. Like I say, that's what works about the film. I'm everyone else was surprised. I think you saw it. So there you go. Thank you for that, Andrew.
Okay. Aaron Sharman for member for 4 months. Thank you. But is it a good, is it as good as the Transformers movie?
Different.
This is the animated one, right?
Yeah, the old school, but it does pay tribute to like the legacy in the past. They're trying to world build something new, and I give them kudos for that.
I wasn't a big fan of that movie, and didn't they change the voice of Optimus Prime in that movie?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Daniel 5. The first trailer had me cringing at the MCU quipping humor. Did the first trailer overemphasize those type of jokes, or was it MCU humor throughout?
Yeah, it's a way overemphasis. It's a good mix of humor and drama and action. The action, there's a chase scene that's a racing scene that's out of Ben-Hur. That's really amazing. That's just epic at the very beginning of the movie. And so yeah, there is humor in it, but there's also drama and action.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's a buddy
good
thing.
balance.
It's a buddy thing, and then Bumblebee just can't stop talking, stuff like that. It's let's remember, it's a kids movie. Patrick Lemire, do robots like jelly donuts?
There's nothing like that in it.
Yeah, and they like glazed. Darth Yeager, so Transformers 1 doesn't suck. I guess it's more than meets the eye.
You betcha.
That line. A name. I watched it early access and didn't like it. Chris is right. You need to be able to separate it from the other lore, or you'll be reminded of what it could be.
Yeah, you got to look on this as like its own thing. I mean, like even the character of Batman, there's lore with that, but they add to it. For example, Commissioner Gordon was never in the comics. He was not in the comics. In 1966, they added a character named Commissioner Gordon in the TV show. The Adam West TV show became kind of a narrative device to introduce villains, and he was like Captain Exposition, who would lay out the story. And then Commissioner Gordon worked himself into the comics from the TV series. So lore is added, lore evolves, but if the character is true, that's when it works. That's why the Star Wars sequels did not work. They changed the classic characters. So I respect you for not liking it. I saw it with my daughter, who is a hardcore, knows the lore. She did not like it for that reason, that the lore wasn't respected. But, 90% of the audience did like it. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I know almost zero about Transformers.
Right.
So to me, it becomes about the characters on the screen and the story that's being told.
Bingo.
And for me, those worked.
Those worked. Yeah, you're cutting out here and there, Alan, with your internet.
Right.
It's all good. It's not your
Okay.
fault. I'll blame you for something that's your fault.
Okay. Thank you.
For sure. I won't let you forget.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Aaron Howell. Hello from Florida. Thanks for reviewing this morning. Thanks for the reviews this morning. Tell Chris I said I'm sorry about the thing with the pubes. He knows what I'm referring to.
Yes. Let's keep it between us.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, again, what you do behind the scenes and at night is your business and not mine.
I'll be right back. Alan, we should get a quick review of Blazing Saddles.
What?
But I gotta take.
You're gonna leave me and then
I'm gonna just read some things and then prep for Blazing Saddles. I'll be right back.
All right. Sure. All right. Yeah, if we can get some chats highlighted here. Let's see. Spidey Sensei 72. I'm super curious how they plan to do these G.I. Joe / Transformers crossover movies. Feeling is they should not do it, these crossover movies. I think if you're gonna restart, this is a great place to restart. They definitely set up for a sequel, and I'll definitely see the next one. Alex Fung, Mr. Freeze's origin was in the animated Batman to lore. All right, here we go. Geek Truth 64. I do wish they would do a proper B in the past with no humans. That's the thing. This is the pattern. We're gonna take these franchises, these IP, and we're gonna throw humans in it. What is Minecraft? We're brought into the world of Minecraft, but now they bring in humans, and all hilarity will ensue. What was the other movie that they just announced? The Sims. So I'll give you the plot of The Sims. These diverse human strangers find themselves magically in the world of The Sims. All hilarity ensues. Again, no originality.
Right, I'm back. By the way, I'm on my third cup of coffee. So
Okay.
I need a quick break, but that's all right. We love talking to you guys. So we got more stuff to talk about. Should we
Okay.
get to no, right here.
Yeah, we'll do this one. A New Nobody. All I care about is it fun? People are too anal with lore sometimes. Does it capture the spirit of the series? I'll tell you.
Yes.
I tell you, if it's bad, if these movies are objectively bad, then I can understand why lore breaking is so important. But again, if you capture the story, the themes of the lore, the characters of the lore, I think that allows you to have some play with it.
And I went to a screening and they gave us a comic book. You can see right here.
What they should have done is
a
give you
little comic.
They should have given you a toy.
I
Is that a
don't need
reprint?
toy.
Is that a reprint or is that a original story?
It's just, I don't know. I just got it. So there you go. We were handed a comic book. I'll take it. Thank you, nobody, for that. Appreciate it. All right. Let's pivot, Alan. I want to get your review.
You want to get my review?
Yeah, I want to hear.
We talked about this.
But no, wait. You saw Blazing Saddles in a theater, Alan.
No, I didn't, because someone said you need to go to see the Wolves premiere, and so I didn't go see Blazing Saddles because I told you I was going to go see Blazing Saddles on Wednesday, and said no, you need to go to Wolves.
Oh wow, what a waste of time then.
It was a massive waste of time.
Well, let's talk about. Look,
I've seen this movie a million times, so.
All right. Blazing Saddles was recently re-released in theaters. A lot of movies are getting this treatment these days. Batman, all the Batman films are coming back to theaters this month to celebrate the anniversary of Batman. Blazing Saddles is here, and guess what? I am told there is no trigger warning in the beginning. Leonard Maltin is a little setting up the context of it, but this movie, when I was a kid, was legendary. First, it was R-rated. I had to sneak in with a friend. I had this one friend on my block who was very tall, who could get us into R-rated movies. We saw Animal House. We saw other R-rated films, and he got us in the theater to see Blazing Saddles. It was, okay, I'm a little kid when this movie came out. The around the campfire scene with the beans, fart jokes, legendary. And let me just say this. Maybe people can respond to this. I am an older man now. You can tell by the hair and the beard. But let me just say, farts are still funny to me. I will still chuckle at a good fart joke. And the fact that the young version of me laughed and the older version of me laughs, like, this movie, the fact that it's now revered as a classic is incredible.
From the fact that it's a half a century old.
Right.
50 years old.
But and look, there's a lot of humor in here related to our black sheriff, right? But like, it still holds up. It still holds up, and I feel like we could do if Hollywood had balls, they'd make a modern Blazing Saddles that mocks everything, that taps into the zeitgeist, right? Alan, tell me about your experience with Blazing Saddles as a classic.
Okay, so my experience with Blazing Saddles, I did not see it in theater. I saw it on television.
Right.
And if you're familiar with television back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of censorship in terms of keeping it family friendly. So there was a certain word that begins with the letter N that was always being blocked out. So half of this movie, there's no audio for it. You referenced the campfire scene. In the television version, the campfire scene is also, the audio is also dropped out of it. So throughout the entire scene, this is me watching the movie for the first 10 times. The entire scene is this. There's no sound. And so I have no idea what's going on. And it wasn't until I rented this movie on VHS that I realized what was going on. And it was a work of beauty. I will also say this. If you want a great behind the scenes about Blazing Saddles, watch the movie Remembering Gene Wilder, because Gene Wilder played a big role in this. Part of it was because I believe they cast they casted someone of high significance to play the role that Gene Wilder played, and he got kicked out. He was drunk, and so they replaced him at the last minute. And Gene just really talks about how much he loved this movie and how much this really solidified his already great relationship with Mel Brooks.
Yeah, it's a classic. See it in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
I really love. There's a lot of if you look at YouTube, you can find a ton of videos of people from young kids who didn't see it in its first run, reacting to Blazing Saddles like, I can't believe they even made a movie like this. Yes, when you don't care what people think, that's when great things can happen. Mel Brooks Mel Brooks cared about one thing, making you laugh. Mel Brooks is a legend. And from Young Frankenstein to Silent Movie to High Anxiety, God, I'd love to see that in a theater again. Like, all of these movies were events. When I was a kid, a new Mel Brooks movie is every couple years he'd make a film. Silent Movie, I loved Silent Movie. It made fun of Hollywood. It made fun of silent movies, lots of in-jokes. And he does, sometimes the humor is, bottom of the barrel, like fart jokes. I don't care. It's all things that will make everyone laugh. And to those who would criticize Blazing Saddles' inclusion of the N-word, this movie is like, it is making fun of racism. This movie makes fun of it. It mocks it.
Yeah, it did. This movie did more to unify us, the races, than anything ever done in the last 10 years. Also realize that, this movie took place and was made in 1974. We are coming off of the Civil Rights Act. We are coming off of the assassinations of JFK, of Martin Luther King. The racial tensions were very high, and this movie basically put a pin in the tension and allowed us to laugh about it. And I say this because if there's ever a time you needed a trigger warning, was when the movie came out, not today. Because we are not experiencing the racial problems of the 70s today. Things are so much better. And if microaggressions is the worst thing you've ever experienced and now you need a trigger warning for it, then there's something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah. This is a classic that we must revisit. And it's more relevant now than even ever because I feel we slid back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the 90s, not a perfect decade by any means, but we didn't really I don't think we really thought about racism. I had friends of all types, and nobody seemed to care. But we have because of academia and current day, we are being fed and we are being divided, and it's really disgusting to see in my lifetime. I always thought things always get better. They get better. They get better. We're sliding back. We need a comedy like Blazing Saddles, a new one that mocks what's happening now. That might be, Am I Racist?
I was going to say that.
I feel like double feature Blazing Saddles and Am I Racist? Go for it.
Yeah, that was it. Am I Racist just points out the hypocrisy of the race grifting movement. And this did the same thing. This one pulled out the hypocrisy of racism at that time, of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, and God, so see this film, whether you get it on VOD or whatever, just see it, or in a theater if you can find a screening, but we need more of this. Let's go to comments here. Right here.
All right, J Nemo for 999. Here's a shitload of dimes.
Love it. Thank you, J Nemo.
Thomas Pickett for 5. In the 90s, race baiters were going to work. Then
going out of work.
Oh, going out of work. Yeah, and then DEI was invented. Yeah.
See, am I racist? Double feature. Do it. Thank you, Thomas. That's true.
A razor burn. Throw out your hands, stick out your tush, hands on your hips, give him a push. You'll be surprised you're doing the French mistake.
What?
What do you mean?
They're dropping words. Are you swearing, Alan? You keep dropping words.
Okay, then it's the mic. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's your internet. It's all
My
good.
internet.
Man.
All right.
I forgive you.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Solomon Thorne. Mel Brooks said in an interview that it was challenging getting this film in theaters. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that part.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with, I think it was originally supposed to star Richard Pryor, and theater owners didn't want him to lead the movie.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why they went with Cleavon Little.
Yeah.
He was likable. Oh man.
Yeah. What an
talk
era.
about racism. Lars Pedersen. When I in the late 80s was copying Blazing Saddles to a friend VHS to VHS, I made the fart scene roughly 2 minutes longer.
That's great. Very creative, Lars. That's awesome.
Davino Duckworth. We take comedy movies for granted. They're enormously hard to make, and there used to be a lot more fun. Yeah, comedies used to be fearless. Yeah. You know, comedies would call out what we're all thinking, but we can't say these things. It was calling out the things we can't say out loud.
Right.
That's what made comedies the best.
Yeah. Let's pivot now to our next review. We're gonna, if you set that up, The Substance, Alan. We really need to set that up. I can't, because these aren't labeled. I can't see what these are. Alan, you gotta like, okay, that's not that.
Yeah, if I had time,
you label.
I was busting my ass all morning because I had.
Here's what will help me. Label the names. Just name it real quick. Then I'll just see it.
You know how hard it is to get picture
every time. Yeah, it's called show prep. How do you think I line up the interviews and do all this other stuff?
Yeah. And I do nothing. I have a website to run.
I'm not
you know how
nothing. I'm not saying you do nothing. I'm saying help us. I'm trying to help us. See, at the end of the day, we pull it together.
And RIP Jerry Springer.
All right, let's talk about The Substance, which for my money, and we're going to be very coy about the story. I don't want to talk too much about the story, but The Substance is I wouldn't say it's a French film, but it feels very French. It's directed by Coralie Farge. It's about Elizabeth Sparkle. She is an older actress who does an exercise show played by Demi Moore. She does a show she's like a Jane Fonda figure. She was an actress. She does this show. She's in very good shape for her age. She's 50 years old and does a little exercise show where she's very sexy on camera, but she gets fired by the studio boss played by Dennis Quaid. She then gets in a car accident and someone suggests, hey, maybe you might benefit from this thing called The Substance. What is The Substance? Well, this is all from the trailer, but it separates you into two people, a more perfect version of you that's younger and you, but only one of you can exist at the same time. Every 7 days, you must switch back to the older version of you, your original, and then your other self. The other self is played by, I believe the actress's name is
Margaret Qualley.
Margaret Qualley. You've seen in movies like Kinds of Kindness, among others. She plays a character called Sue. So Elizabeth Sparkle takes this compound, The Substance, and splits herself into two beings. One younger and more perfect and more beautiful, and then her original self remains unconscious during Sue's existence. Sue then becomes very popular. She immediately replaces Elizabeth Sparkle on a new show called Pump It Up, where she exercises in very sexy poses, and begins to get a little greedy when it comes to her existence in the younger perfect form, taking the very life substance from Elizabeth while she remains in her catatonic state. This movie is probably one of the best comedies of the year, the best horror movies of the year, and I'll say one of the best movies of the year, for which Demi Moore should get an Oscar nomination. I saw the movie last week. I saw it again last night, back to back, twice. Audiences, and we won't talk about the third act of the film. This is going to be non-spoiler for now. The shock ending of the movie. You texted me, oh my God. Now you knew you had just finished seeing the movie. But for those that are turned off by the gore and the horror and the depths to this movie, the depths this movie goes, I'll just say there are more layers to this movie. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's about beauty standards. It's about how women are valued based on their looks. It's about the lengths people will go to keep their beauty and their value in Hollywood. The opening image of the movie, one of the opening images of the movie is of a Hollywood star, of Elizabeth Sparkle. And what happens to that star? It begins to fade. A lot of the dialogue, which the dialogue is very sparse. Mm-hmm. It's very terse dialogue. There is not a moment that is wasted. The script is so tight, even though the running time, people will have problems with the running time. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It flies by for me. It doesn't feel that long. But I'll say what makes this movie work for me is it's a body horror movie on the level of The Fly or Videodrome or other body horror that exists. And my God, it's like the kind of horror movies that work for me and resonate for me are ones that are that have ideas. And the ideas in this film, you'll be thinking about, like, it's aging actresses, Hollywood, and how they treat women. Although I'll say, while the men in the film are pretty much caricatures of types of men in Hollywood, I didn't feel the film didn't feel really anti-men at all. But my God, I love this film. This is on my top films of the year. The Substance, along with Strange Darling, along with Coffee Table, and it's a shocker. This movie won Best Screenplay at Cannes, but famously at Cannes, lots of people walked out of the film. And the third act is a middle finger to Hollywood, a literal middle finger to Hollywood. Shocking. And the fact that only a female director could really tell this story. Mm-hmm. There are moments, for example, and other things that are shocking, not just the gore, nudity. There is full frontal nudity from both Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley as Sue. I mean, and you'll see it. There's even a moment where when she wakes up in the new younger body, she's taking a shower, Sue, Margaret Qualley, and she's feeling her new ass because Elizabeth Sparkle's ass was a little flabby. Her ass is like now tight and, you could bounce a quarter off it. My God, I could praise this movie up and down. I cannot stop thinking about it. My some friends who saw it last night, they're like, it's good, but I didn't love it. Like, are texting me, I can't stop thinking about this movie. So I'm over the moon. I think, like I say, Demi should get an Oscar nom for this, but the Academy is not real favorable on horror. I think genre movies are not respected in Hollywood like they should be. When someone gives a great performance in a genre movie, it's not acknowledged. Demi Moore deserves it, at least a nomination for this film. Alan, what did you think of The Substance?
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. If you're gonna give Emma Stone an Oscar for Poor Things, why can't you nominate Demi Moore for this?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say this again, like you, I can't stop thinking about it. I'll say that the first 20 minutes of this movie, I could watch those first 20 minutes 100 times over. I mean, Demi Moore is so beautiful in this movie, and she still got it. And Margaret Qualley, I didn't know much about her. I can't wait for her to do another movie with Sydney Sweeney. Maybe bring back the comedy. Oh my gosh, she is so beautiful in this movie. It's this. I don't like body horror. I am not a fan of body horror, and there's a lot of body horror in this. And most of the back end of the movie is me just not watching the movie and just waiting for scenes to be done. But I will say those first 20 minutes made it worth it. What I like about this movie and what I wish more movies were like is that a movie that says something, that has a comment on today's culture. We talked about beauty, the standards of beauty. We've seen a lot of those films over the decades, but this one truly takes a unique approach to it. And so that's why I'm disgusted by what I'm seeing, but I understand what's going on and I'm liking it. Movie feels like a 2 hour and 20-minute episode of The Twilight Zone. It just takes an idea and expands upon it. You know, what would be beautiful for the rest of your life?
Yeah, how far would you go to be beautiful?
Yeah.
But also, women, like, look, no surprise in Hollywood, Ozempic is a big thing.
Mhm.
You know, this weight loss where people look unhealthy.
Yeah.
From their weight loss or surgery. So many people have commented. The one actress from The Boys got maybe a little too much plastic surgery.
Mhm.
This is a thing. So this deals with, that's why I think that,
Yeah.
I think women also, by the way, I've spoken to many women who have seen this movie and they react very differently. I think this is more a horror film that women will relate to, but
Mhm.
also women of certain stages of life will
Yeah.
perceive this movie differently. But I was texting back and forth with Rob Burnett. I think this film is a masterpiece. I think it's a movie we'll be talking about for years to come. Already on my top 10.
Yeah.
I think it should be an awards contender, but it's going to affect people in strong ways. They
Yeah.
are going to be turned off. Some people may walk out of the movie, especially in that third act. People will walk out of this film. You will watch and see. That's why I
Right,
went to see it a second time. I want to see how the people reacted.
Yeah.
Like everything from the soundtrack to, and by the way, this movie there's a Q&A if you're a member of the Film Thread channel, see the Q&A with the director. This was all shot on a soundstage in France, most of it on a soundstage. It was storyboarded. Parts feel like a graphic novel. There's a fetishization of like the procedure of, they really spend time on how the procedure makes two of you, and they label the ingredients so you understand, the audience understands how it works. This is what I love in these types of movies. I don't like when you're making up rules. They show you the rules. Here's how the rules of the substance works. Here's the consequences of the substance. Literally, the
Of not
body
following the
horror.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah, of not following. Literally, the horror in the movie is parts of Demi Moore become old. She's old and aging. That's the body horror, which everyone can relate to, because eventually we're all going to get old. We're all going to have flabby thighs and knees that get, if we, age to a certain, age. And it gets into the body horror of watching your body change and become old. Like, that's the level of body horror. And that's why I think it's so affecting, because it puts us in touch with our own mortality.
Yeah, I second all that. But to me, the greatest thing about this movie is, again, and I say this a lot about movies, especially just the Critic. that makes you think beyond just the narrative that's going on in
Yes.
front of you. And that's why I call it a 2-hour Twilight Zone episode, because every episode of the Twilight Zone took some aspect, whether it's age, you could go down the line of each episode and why you like that episode of Twilight Zone. This is one of those, and it takes it further and goes into body horror, but not body horror, not for the sake of body horror, but it means something to the overall theme of this movie.
It's more than that.
Hold on, let me, Agatha. They're going to these escape rooms where they learn something about themselves. This movie does it so much better. It says something more deeper than just these themes of sisterhood and getting along. The movie Men, I kept thinking about the movie Men when I saw this movie, and the things that happen in this movie have reason to it, and I gotta say, the very ending in this circle, and it's just the bow on the package.
I'll just say this.
And the coffee table. The reason I didn't like the coffee table is because not only the event in the beginning, but I had to watch it because I felt like there was going to be some payoff at the end. And this movie has the payoff that I wish the coffee table had.
It definitely has the payoff, but I'll say this. I've always liked genre that has layers. Horror films that have, being chased by the monster. I like those movies, but there's not much to those, right? Body horror is one of my favorites when it's done well. And literally the monster in this movie is the person you're looking at in the mirror. It is you. You are the monster. So she becomes a monster in effect. Her own undoing, because they keep repeating, you are one. The dialogue is so sparse in this, and it's really, I don't know. It's the kind of smart horror movie I love, but I understand some people just give me a monster, whatever. There's more to this film. There's far more to this movie, and I loved it. One of my favorite movies of the year. We're going to talk about it on Monday on Versus with a whole panel of people. Not our usual panel.
Here's the thing. I wish Jack Schaefer had watched this movie before she wrote Agatha all along. Because then she would have something to say in her show, and have some meaning in her show. But obviously she didn't. And this is the path that Disney Star Wars and Marvel have been taking for way too long.
Well, my hope is this movie gets the awards recognition it deserves. I mean, it's got a female director. It's also, and this is only her second movie. She made a movie called Revenge that's on Shudder. I tried to buy it. You can't buy it. It's on Shudder. I'm going to watch that movie. Only her second film. She spent years on this. Years. And by the way, Universal Pictures funded this movie and then decided not to do it. They didn't release it, and it came out from Mubi. So it's in theaters now. You really need to see it. It's also like I just love ideas, and I love genre works when you have rules. I like they lay out the rules simply to the audience
on big index cards.
Here are the rules. We're explaining the rules. Here's how the movie works. We might break some of these rules, and then what the cost is, and about the choices the characters make.
I think if the movie does well in the theaters and gains traction, like people are talking about it, it will get Oscar. It'll get awards.
Well, and also I'll say for its Oscars chances, it's going to be because of Hollywood likes films about itself. You know, like Babylon, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hollywood loves movies about the industry. This is about a part of the industry. What do women have to do to remain relevant and bankable in Hollywood? You know, how far would an actress go to continue to receive love of strangers? They focus on certain words like love. There's even like close-ups of the word love. Since I've seen the movie 3 times, I noticed so much more about it. It is really hammering the message. A lot of it like really in your face, but it is so relevant and so important. And I hope it gets the recognition it deserves. 9.5 out of 10 for me. One of my favorite movies of the year, up there with Strange Darling, Coffee Table. You know my taste, not the same as Alan. And I kind of made him go to see this. So that's where it is for me. Alan, what about you?
I give it 8.5. I don't see it as the
Very high.
masterpiece as you do, but it's a definite recommendation. And no, I will not be taking my daughter to see this movie.
All right. Well, there we go. Yes, this is not a movie for your daughter, but please see it. We'll talk about it in more detail after you've all seen it. Let's go to comments here.
Well, yeah, we have guests, so let's just do super chats. Thomas Picker for 2. This script was written on Ozempic.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Rudy for 5 watched on your recommendation and ran into you after Chris. Great movie. I've been recommending it to everyone.
Wait. Let's do the comments. We'll get to our guests in 5 minutes. We got to get to these comments. We got a packed show today, so let's go. Don't delete those comments.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Rudy.
Okay. Dead Alive vibes with the comedy and horror. Let's see. Benjamin for 5. At last, we've arrived at an inevitable question: Sydney Sweeney or Margaret Qualley? I'm going to say it's all about preference. Whatever you prefer, that's how you're going to answer the question.
I say let them fight.
Yeah, let them fight. Smiley Town SF 999, best body horror since The Reanimator. Both actresses deserve awards. Demi is Oscar worthy. Original screenplay, stylized production, 5 stars. Cinematography is amazing, especially at the beginning.
Yes, fantastic.
Those macro shots. Thomas Pickham for 2. We all eventually look like old lesbians.
I'm getting there very quickly.
Show number 2. What is the Crunchy Beaver rating 1 to 5? Sorry to the guests.
Okay, wait. Crunchy Beaver rating is a 10 out of 5.
Oh my god.
Alan, for you?
I'll just go 5 out of 5. Oh my god.
5 out of 5. All right. Well, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
You lost the other comments. Why did you do that? Let me just, Alan, I'll run the show and we'll do that.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
What did I do?
Someone deleted the comments.
Okay. So
We're
while
gonna-
I'm
we're
reading,
gonna have a longer
I
show
can only
today.
do one thing. If I'm reading
I
comments,
got so
I'm not
much
doing
to
anything else.
do.
I'm not doing anything else.
Please, just come on.
Yeah, so let me just say probably the gayest thing about me is I love musicals.
Why you like show tunes, don't you?
By the way, I'm seeing Little Shop of Horrors tomorrow.
Where? What the
South
play?
South Coast Repertory.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have some special guests today. It's the season of horror. Whenever I see a spirit Halloween crop up in my neighborhood, I know it's Halloween season. And that's right. A lot of indie horror films are opening, and we are going to talk about them. We have the co-directors of Night of the Harvest, Chris Carter and Jessica Morgan, that are joining us today to talk about their film. Here she is, Jessica Morgan, Chris Carter. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you guys. Tell us about Night of the Harvest.
Ooh, we're so excited. Thank you guys so much for having us on, first off. Night of the Harvest, it is a Halloween. It's set in Halloween. It's a pretty traditional slasher, but also is going to have some nice, fun surprises for you along the way. It is dealing with trauma. There is one of our main characters, Madison. She's been attacked a year ago on Halloween. Her sister's trying to get her back into the spirit, goes to a big party, and of course they are stalked by, a masked killer, and there's secret motives, and there's a lot of twists in this one. And we're super pumped for it to come out on the 24th.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're like me. When it's September 1st, that's when the Halloween decorations go up. So yeah, 100%. I'm pumped about that. What tell us about like the production, and this is indie film production, budget wise. How did you deal with like those kinds of challenges?
Well, that was probably the hardest part. But Jessica and I have been doing this for a while, so we've got a workflow set up. I mean, we were very fortunate. If you've seen the film, like basically the last half of it takes place in Tucson. We're actually based in LA, but we're from Tucson. So we were able to kind of secure a warehouse down there to film kind of the second half of the movie, which has the meat of it. No pun intended on that one. And so part of it was we had to make all that stuff. When people see the movie, they're going to see like totems, because we really wanted to tap into like what Halloween was before it gets before it became so sanitized. Its roots, Samhain, and how at one point it was a very terrifying holiday. So we wanted to kind of touch back on that. So the props, you talk about indie filmmaking, we had to make them ourselves. There's a part that's in the trailer, it's in some of our stills, where it's like it's a bloody, glorified skeleton. Jessica and I had to figure out how to make that because we couldn't buy it. These things were just too expensive for us to buy. So we ended up farming out this to some of our cast and some of our crew. And but it really was an exercise in independent filmmaking. And I think that from what shows up on screen isn't indicative of the budget. It looks, in my opinion, a whole lot more money went into it than actually did. More time and love and sweat and tears and all that actually was more into it.
Well, that's my personal favorite is, you use the resources you have to get that budget on screen, make it look much more than what you spent. So tell us about the process for the money. A lot of questions. We have questions from the chat. We've got almost 1,500 people, over 1,500 people watching live right now. We'll get to their chat comments and questions for you in a minute, but how did you stretch that budget? What were some of your production philosophies in terms of making the film?
I mean, yeah, we honestly, we funded it all ourselves completely. So it's definitely was like a how do we stretch this as far as we can? And I think when you do that, you have to wear a lot of hats. So for me, even co-directing and acting in it as well, I still did a lot of like the makeup effects too and everything. Chris is the cinematographer, so we're already like filling positions that generally you would have to pay people for. Now we're doing all that.
Many
That kind
hats.
yeah, and then, of course, calling in any favors that you have is a really nice thing. I put my sister to work on this thing, and yeah, I think building the relationships too that you have, Chris mentioned we've done a couple of films in the past, and so luckily we have some contacts now that it's like for the warehouse location, we've filmed there before, and you just keep in good contact with people, you help each other out, and so they're more willing to be like, you know what, we'll let the cost go, or we'll like give you a break on it. It's a lot of, I think, an independent film, you kind of have to get a lot of friends involved and create a family and a group and be like, okay, how do we do this together? Kind of
I
a
mean,
thing.
that's part of it too. Like, honestly, having no money is really, you access a different part of your brain. You want to tell a story, the vision you have for it. You probably can't afford it. So how else can you do it? I mean, we rigged up styrofoam dummies. We've used, foam, a lot of cases, just to act like body parts and whatnot. You figure out a way to do these things with cuts and whatnot. And I mean, indie filmmakers, especially horror filmmakers, have been doing it forever, but it really is something that you access once you realize, hey, we can't afford this. How do we make it happen in another way? And then you kind of figure that process out.
Let's go to the chat. We have a lot of questions and comments here. Let's go. Solomon Thornton, greetings, Madam Jessica and Sir Chris. What was your approach for doing a horror film?
Hi, Solomon. Thank you for your question. Honestly, we've done horror films in the past, but we wanted this one to be much darker. You can tell once you watch it, it starts out very what horror and Halloween is today, very commercialized, costumes, candy, and then it gets deeper. And we did that on purpose. We really wanted to delve into what made Halloween scary, and not fun scary, scary, and the curses that came along with that. So when we wrote this thing, we approached it from that point of view and then worked backwards. And in the process of kind of tackling a horror movie as a whole, we kind of made sure that those two thoughts came together in a nice, happy marriage through our story, which I think we did.
Yeah, and I mean, even for me, I'm just a huge horror fan in general. I love to see gory things and I love like the slasher genre. So there's just a lot of fun in being like, how can we explore this a little farther ourselves? And what would I do if we could do this? We have like an axe as like kind of our main weapon. And it's like, how many kills can you come up with using an axe? You know what I mean? And it's those fun things that if you're like a horror fan, you like to figure out. And so yeah, approaching a horror film, you're kind of like, how can we have the most fun with this as well?
Who doesn't love a creative kill?
Yeah.
More comments here. Sons and Shadows. The more talented Chris Carter. And Kara says, greetings. Did you make practical effects?
Oh yeah, I don't think we have anything digital in this at all. So it's all practical effects. It's a lot of balancing how much we're going to show and how much we're not and going to leave up to the imagination. I think we do show a good amount at times, and then other ones we know that sometimes the imagination can just be a little bit more fun, you know what I mean? So we can still create the vibes and do things, but you do see a good amount here. You're going to see stabbings and cool stuff. We're pretty proud of the effects that we have in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Razorburn, question for Chris and Jessica. What were your favorite horror movies growing up? What age did you see your first horror movie?
Oh, man. I'm going to date myself. Thanks for the question, Razorburn.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite horror movie, and this is again going to date me, The Thing from Another World, the original, what the remake was made off of. I must have been 5 or 6, and it was on our TV. It was black and white, and it just terrified me. It's all the knocking on the doors and the doors and the doors, and then you cut away, and then the creature is behind one of the doors, and you just get lulled into sleep and thinking nothing's going to be there. And I remember my young self running out of the living room, terrified. And we weren't supposed to watch it. My mom was like, "You cannot see this." We ended up seeing it, and yeah, that I swear to God, that probably gave me nightmares for at least a couple of months. And that's my infatuation with sci-fi horror began there. I would say, also my nightmare.
Jessica, what about you?
Yeah, I think like the earliest film I remember seeing for horror was The Birds. And they always talk about like the scene with the eyes pecked out that just sticks with people, especially if you're young. So for me, like that was terrifying. And then as I got a little bit older, like, probably tweens, right? Like then it started to be like, oh, I saw movies like Dead Alive and stuff. And it was like, oh, this can be fun. Like the gross stuff can be so fun. And I think that's kind of where I lean. I like Drag Me to Hell and things like movies that can make fun of themselves while we're like in it a little bit, So I really enjoy those kind of horror movies.
Gordon Caledonia says it looks like an homage to Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, 1981.
I haven't seen Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
We know to watch it now.
Yeah, now it goes on the list. I think the biggest thing for us is we thought that Halloween kind of symbolizes you have these mental images. You've got a cornfield, therefore you got a scarecrow. We wanted to make an uncomfortable scarecrow, like Batman's scarecrow. We wanted to kind of emulate something like that. I don't know if it's an homage to that. If it is, we take that as a compliment. Thank you.
And the nerd far away. Hail, Mr. Carter and Ms. Morgan. I'd love to hear your take on the importance of props. They're often an afterthought in films. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
Oh man, that's a good question. Yeah, I think you're right. I think everyone's kind of focused maybe on like the gory stuff for horror or like, the story and the acting and things like that. So I think you're right. I think props can get overlooked a lot. For us, we have a ritualistic vibe that this eventually goes towards. And so props were really important. It became, how do we make this feel like we're gonna do a ceremony and all these creepy things. So we dug a lot into that, and we had to do a lot of research and make these. I think Chris mentioned like totems and stuff, which we then of course had to be careful to not look too Blair Witch vibes. But we were, like trying to do our own thing and do these and stuff. So yeah, for us, props are super important. We had a ton of. I mean, even the axe itself, it's you have to be like safety, and sometimes you can't use a real axe, when you're doing these things, but how do you make it still look really good, and those little details are just so important. So we definitely looked at our props a lot, but I think you're right. I think they do get overlooked all the time.
Well, and not just that too, but to add that point, as independent filmmakers, I read somewhere that you take your props and you build outwards. You know what I mean? Like if you have a really cool location, you build outwards. For us, we had to be very aware of what we could do. And so that meant what props either A, could we build, or B, could we afford? But we started with that and then worked outwards, because obviously the props and the set dressing, that really adds an element to your film to make sure it conveys the type of vibe that you want it to convey in that moment. So they are exceptionally important to us.
And last question here, which we all want to know, James Woolard, who's a member, thank you for that. Any chance of a UK release in time for Halloween? And it's being released on July September 24th now, right? Like next week.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. So nationwide and in Canada, but unfortunately there's not a UK release in time for Halloween. We're really hoping to get it out there, but I know kind of a bummer.
Though.
Yes, we do want to work towards that for sure. So I'm so sorry it won't be this Halloween, but maybe next Halloween we'll really strive for that.
Yeah.
Where can people go to get more info?
So if you go to nightoftheharvest.com, all the information is there. You've got your pre-order links, which on the 24th, all links will be there to purchase Apple TV, Amazon, Vudu, Fandango. Physical copies will also be available on Walmart.com and BestBuy.com, we've been told. So all of that information, all of that one-stop shopping, we're going to try and make it as easy as we can for people at nightoftheharvest.com. We'll have trailer synopsis, and hopefully as this film comes out, we'll be able to update the site with cast interviews. You know, once we can spoil what we can spoil, yeah, there it is. We'll be able to add a little bit more content on this site just to keep people more engaged. And like, hey, if you haven't seen it, check it out. We also have, our merch page, our press, all that stuff. One-stop shopping, we tried to make it. We did.
Great. Love it. We'll put the link in the description.
Thank
you so much for spending time with us today and talking about the film. I love indie filmmakers. You know, it's a marathon, not just a spread. You got to really stay at it. So congrats to you both for getting a film not just made, but out and released.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it's funny, I just have a quick sidebar in the story, and Jessica can. In 2019, we actually were finalists for your Independent Horror Film of the Year award for One Night in October. And when we were at award, we actually went out to the theater. We had a great time. I actually saw you in, I think it was at Midsummer Scream a couple years ago, and I just wanted to say again to reiterate that. Thank you so much. What you guys do for independent film and independent filmmakers in bringing light to these films that, like you said, take marathons, they take blood, sweat, your own money. You know, Jessica and I pay for this whole thing ourselves, and to be recognized on your platform and have that, you made us feel real special. And I'm sure you make a lot of other independent filmmakers feel really special too. So thank you guys for what y'all do. We appreciate it.
And by the way, you are eligible for this year.
Hey,
the release,
all right.
You just hit the deadline.
Oh my gosh.
The deadline is September 30th. And we have a short list. I can't say anything yet, but all the editors of Film Threat, we have a Google Doc. We keep track of the things that, that are rated well. And so you're on the short list. So we'll see this year.
Exciting.
That's awesome, man. It was so cool. We appreciate that.
Award This is really fun. It was fun.
Yeah. It was a blast. It was amazing.
It was awesome. It makes you feel so special. Like, you're a little fish in Hollywood, but you guys made us feel like we were the biggest fish in the city. So it's super awesome. So thank you guys for that. And we hope to be back this year, but if not, we'll still appreciate it from afar then.
Well, indie filmmakers are the stars at Award This. So we'd like to champion these. Alan, you look like you had to say something.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which film would it.
One Night in October.
Yeah,
another spooky Halloweenish one.
Well, yeah, but basically the purpose of Award This is to highlight movies that don't get recognition. So it's kind of a list of it ends up being about 75 different films. That's I feel like that's a playlist. Winner or not, a nominee is the cream of the crop of all the movies we see in a given year. So
I mean, it definitely, we started watching all the films that were, you know what I mean, that it brought awareness to us. So we went home and we're like, let's watch, I think, Satanic Panic and all those other ones that were on there, and they were excellent. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, the nominees will be announced, I think, the first or second week of October. So stay tuned.
We will.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Go to nightoftheharvest.com to get info on where to see the movie. Chris, Jessica, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great weekend.
You too. That was awesome. That was great. I love talking to filmmakers. That's cool. All
Now
right.
I'm looking at what they were up against.
Yeah, let's we have 2 more movies to review. Should I save it for next week or should I do these reviews?
You might want to do the Halle Berry one.
Okay. I'm going to do it and I'll be right back. Go ahead and talk, Alan.
Sure. Hey everyone. Yeah, great. You know, it's just this running theme that they have.
Well, it's
going on.
I don't think Zootopia is Pixar.
It's not. It's a Disney. But it is. Racist, even though I just did, but you know, it's the father who doesn't want her daughter. Yes. Hey, let's go to your comments. Atomic Lori, if you can help me, because farting. Surprised Alan didn't encourage them to watch The Substance. They were actually watching our review of that. Let's see. Sons and Chris drank a whole pot of coffee. I'm pretty sure you're right. Nerd Far Away. Alan, what's illegal over there in California now? AI is now illegal in California. Bill W. Need Alan's highest beaver rated movie. See, when we talk Crunchy Beaver, it has to be, kind of the sound it makes. And because they were naked, the beaver wasn't making a sound. Gordon Caledonia.
Alan, I left. What is going on?
Alan can fart the theme for Seven Brothers.
You've been cutting out all show.
Have I? Because I'm looking at it now, and I have no indication that that's happening on my end.
Whatever. All right. Okay. Good. All right. Let's get one more review in. I want to save A Different Man because it's only limited release now. I have a lot to say about that movie. But let's talk about this film. Never Let Go stars Halle Berry as a young mother in a cabin in the woods, surrounded by demons and zombies and things that go bump in the forest. She has 2 young sons, and they are filled with the fear of what lies beyond. So much so that her character ties them to ropes. They can only go so far from the cabin. And when they've reached the end of the rope, they know they have reached the point of no return. They see creatures in the forest that could wipe them out, could kill them. As long as they stay in this perimeter, they are safe. Well, of course, one of the young boys goes too far and suffers consequences. He gets injured. But mom tells them, do not go beyond this perimeter. This is a sort of a horror suspense thriller. It's just an hour and 42 minutes. And I'll just say that it has a great tone. The tone of the movie is awesome. And Halle Berry as the mother is she's very good protecting the sons. You see like through her, you see what may lurk in the woods through her eyes. But strange things are afoot when a stranger comes close to the house. To go any further would ruin it. And this is kind of a like a very good episode of Twilight Zone, but I don't believe that what little story is there can really sustain for a whole hour 40 minutes. Unfortunately, I felt like this would be a good short film. It kind of disappointed me. The young boys, played by Anthony Jenkins and Percy Daggs the fourth, they're very good. The young boys, it's really, the story is really through their eyes and how they see their mother. But when everything is revealed, it's kind of a Twilight Zone episode. So while I liked the tone of the movie, I feel like this is a streaming film, not anything to write home about in terms of horror. There are better horror films out in theaters now. We talked about, The Substance, but it's fine to catch on streaming. It gets like maybe a 5.5 out of 10 for me. The main thing is the tone. Halle Berry and the young boys are great. It's really that script when you learn everything. For me, not a surprise, and ultimately disappointing. So there you go. 5.5 out of 10. An okay horror film that has a great cast, and really reached a great tone.
Didn't we see this with The Watcher? I mean, it seems like
This is very similar to The Watcher in that sense of like,
yeah, you're stuck in this building and you can only go so far, and
yeah, well, it's different, but the two boys, the young boys, are very good, and Halle Berry I've always loved. Very good actress. She does more with this. She elevates it, right? But there are better horror films out there right now. It's fine. I mean, I would pop in and see it. You won't be, you'll be like, it's all right. But if you're at the theater, you've seen everything, go see it. I wouldn't say not. That's why I'd say bare recommend 5.5 to 6, in that range. But really like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah. I mean, you just want a movie that's memorable, has something that you can talk about, but it doesn't have it.
I literally saw this film a few weeks ago early, and like
you're struggling to remember it.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, it was okay, and moving on. So there you go. And it's just disappointing, but that's most movies. Most movies are okay. And this is okay. The movie's okay with some really great tone from the director and really good performances by the cast. Small cast, simple concept. So there you are.
All right.
Let's go to your chat comments and questions here.
Chat's Mom 4. The way Chris says that makes me think this movie is dumb.
You may think that by the end.
Razorburn, is there a guy with a rifle and a chainsaw for a hand in this film?
No. If there was, it would be higher rated. Yeah.
Spidey Sensei 72. I'm hoping the premise of Never Let Go is the mom is losing her mind and hallucinating all the time.
Hallucinating all of this.
All of this.
I don't want to say.
Oh, no. Okay. Gordon Caledonia. Kind of like the people under the stairs, but outside.
Yes.
And from Sons and Shadows, as long as it's not Catwoman level.
It's not.
Would you watch Catwoman over this?
I would watch. Yes, Catwoman.
Okay. And Sons and Shadows.
Hey, don't.
Chris's reaction just spoiled the movie.
All right. We are going to hold A Different Man for next week because Alan needs to see that movie.
Yeah, I do. I actually saw the trailer and I'm intrigued.
Dude, it is so, and it relates to The Substance in a way.
Okay.
I don't want to say how.
I have an idea.
want to wait. So Sebastian Stan in this movie is amazing. I need Alan to see it. It will spark a discussion. So we will push that to next week. We have a lot of next week, man. So Monday, we're going to talk Agatha and The Substance on Versus. plus news. Wednesday, we'll talk about Super/Man, Christopher Reeve's story. Well, you know what? We'll review a different man then.
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday.
Let me make sure I can actually see it.
Okay. And we've got an interview. So Wednesday is going to be a good show. And then we have on Friday, Megalopolis, The Wild Robot, Penguin episode 1 and 2, other horror movies. Next week, I know there aren't big Marvel movies or big stuff coming out, but we have a lot of movies to discuss. We are getting into award season. It's going to get interesting. So there you go. And thank you we had 1,500 people watching us live today. And I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And shout out to people on Rumble. We're on Rumble, right?
Yes, we are. We've been getting comments off of Rumble.
I appreciate you guys on Rumble. We will be back next week with 3 live streams a week. Monday versus Wednesday, Hollywood on the Rocks, and our Friday Film Threat Livecast, where we review movies out in major release in theaters and indie movies too. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. I mean, I think we are growing. And we got a last minute super chat here.
Yeah, Robert for 10. Thank you. Hey, guys. Chris, I have finally finished a female-led comedy I know you'll love, especially when you find out how I made it entirely by myself, not woke, just good comedy. How can I get it to you? That's a
Go
good.
to filmthreat.com and you go to, I'll bring it up. I will bring it up and I'll show you. It's really easy. You need to submit your movie. Go to filmthreat.com/submit project. In the little corner here, it says submit your film for review. And that's all you do. So filmthreat.com, click on submit project in the upper right corner. Send us your indie movie. It's very simple. We get a lot of movies. We don't review everything, unfortunately, Robert. We do the best we can. Even with 30 writers, 30 freelancers, Alan reviews a lot of films. I know Alan and I bicker. I appreciate Alan. I appreciate him.
Thanks.
I do. You laugh when you. Hey, I give you shit like one would a brother.
I know. It's like, oh, you just screwed up. But I love you. And
Yes, yeah, I do. I love
all
reading.
you do.
I read Alan's reviews. These, especially like a little short film, and you give it a good review. I'm like, why? I want to hear about this.
Yeah.
So, go to submit, send it to us. Very easy to do. So, and read the website if you want to read. We don't talk about everything on the show. We talk about as many films as we can, but Film Threat, you get the full breadth of movies, like literally a couple hundred reviews, maybe a month, over 100 a month, at least. Movies are reviewed on Film Threat in a given month. Probably 2,000 movies a year are reviewed on the website, average. But thank you to our mod, Lord Thoth. Thank you to Atomic Lori in the background, doing the Lord's work. Seriously. So thank you to Glenn, our producer. I feel, what am I doing? It's like I won an award. What am I doing here?
You're thanking people. You're showing gratitude.
I
shouldn't feel foreign to you right now.
I am grateful. I'm sitting in this weird room in my back of my place, talking about movies with my friend. Yeah. Alan, you are my density. You're not going to say anything?
Yeah, I wish I was the one dying.
Oh, what are you doing this weekend, Alan?
What am I doing this weekend? I am I'm seeing Little Shop of Horrors out in Orange County, and I'm very excited about that. One of my favorite musicals. Yes.
I am going to movies all weekend. I'm seeing the Christopher Reeve documentary, which we'll talk about Wednesday.
Yep.
We'll talk about that. So I'm literally going to see, I'm seeing Batman 89, Batman Forever. I'm seeing Batman movies this weekend. So
Yeah,
That's
and you'll be
what I'm
seeing the
doing.
Penguin too.
and I'll watch the Penguin on Max. We'll discuss next week. And so it's a movie weekend for me. And I'll probably watch the Detroit Lions win. They got to get back on a winning streak. One of the only hosts on YouTube who thanks his crew every single show. Yes, Glenn, we do.
That's right, Glenn.
Glenn is amazing. He's one of the producers of Award This and the upcoming Acolyte Season 2. Oh, we have Acolyte. Oh, hey, Daniel gifted 5 Film Threat memberships.
Thank you.
Watch that Q&A with the director of The Substance. Watch it. It's amazing. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that. And Alan, so you
said something. You were going to say something about the Acolyte.
Yeah, Acolyte Season 2 coming to Film Threat Plus. More details forthcoming. No spoilers. Alan,
let's get out of here.